Alrighty, guys, I'm Morthadon, and we are back for My Hero Academia. Season 4 has started officially. I am recording on the day that this episode released. So what's happening is I'm gonna change since now I know that it's coming out on Saturdays. I kind of just found out about this last night. I'm gonna change the day from Wednesday to Sunday that these release. That way I can watch them Saturday night, the night they release, and then the next day you guys will get it and you don't have to wait for it, which is awesome. I hope you guys enjoy that. But also, for any of you guys that are new, I want to welcome you to the channel. I know sometimes with new seasons brings new faces and everything, and the nature of that. I hope you guys enjoy and all that. Before I forget, I also want to say I'm starting a new system. I started this with Shield Hero, but Shield Hero is actually coming out next. Like, I've already recorded Shield Hero, but this is going to come out first because I'm not doing early access for this. So on my Patreon, I normally offer full length for people that are patrons, but what I'm going to start doing is the first episode is going to be free for you guys to check out the full length. So there'll be a link in the description where you guys can check out the full length. You're going to need to supply your own episode. You're gonna need the video footage yourself, but it'll just be me and a timer. You guys can sync with me and watch the whole episode. So that'll be available for the first episode. You can get a taste for it, and then if you enjoy it, you like the channel, you want to support, you can become a patron and help out that way. But also, I normally make my bed. I know my background isn't the prettiest thing. I'm eventually gonna get a green screen. I don't want to talk too much about this, but my dog is sleeping. You can see her right there. I didn't want to make her move so I could make my bed. I respect the puppers, so that's why, you know, it looks a little more messy than normal. And if you're new, I'm not this much of a slob always, even though my room kind of is a slob. But anyways, regardless of all that, I'm really looking forward to Season 4. I'm sure we're going to get left off with some stuff about, like, Overhaul, maybe the big three that we met right at the end of the last season, as well as they mentioned some Sir person and doing some kind of like step up from the internships. I forget what they actually called it, but I think Midoriya might be going to one of All Might's sidekicks, which is really interesting, and I think it's a new character that we haven't met yet. Really excited about that too. And so I also watched subbed for anybody that's new. That was another thing I wanted to say. I watched the show in subbed. Apologies if you're someone that likes dubbed. It's not that I hate dubbed. I just do all my shows dubbed. That's how, I mean, subbed. That's how I've always watched anime. So that's just how it is. But yeah, guys, I'm really looking forward. So without further ado, I say we just jump into this, shall we? So don't forget, full-length link in the description, but if you don't like the full-length formats and you want to watch the video the normal edited way, like, you know, most other reactors do, you can go down into the description. There's a Vimeo link down there. You can click that Vimeo link and it'll bring you directly to the reaction. This is due to, you know, YouTube's heavy copyright restrictions. It just makes it easier. All my videos always stay up when I do it this way. And that way you guys never have to see, like, this video blocked in your country or whatever. So go ahead, description, Vimeo link, or full-length link, whichever one you want to go to, and click that right now, guys. Alrighty, guys, so that is the end of the first episode of Season 4. That was good. It was definitely, like, another traditional first episode like we've seen. Like in Season 3 they did the same thing where they went to the pool, where they had some fun but did some flashback too. We had a huge chunk of the episode doing that. We had, you know, a little bit on Midoriya getting his quirk. We had a little bit on All Might defeating All for One again. And we had a recap of everybody's quirks and everything. And I did, by the way, guys, for any of you guys that... I think I'm going to leave it in the reaction this time, but there's not going to be any footage. But I did watch the intro and outro, and since I'm leaving it in, I did describe, like, what I thought about the intro and outro, kind of, so I'm not going to go too in-depth about it, but I did enjoy them both. The the songs, I think the intro song, sorry, I just like spit a little bit. I think the intro song was very good. I think the outro song hasn't grown on me yet. But also the outro song for season 3, or like the second half, that one that we ended off with of the end of season 3, was really good, and I really liked it after a few watches. So I think it just takes me a little bit to really, enjoy them. But other than that, I explained mostly during the outro what I thought about them and how they weren't too spoilery and everything. So we'll skip past that. But the whole episode was really around these reporters who they were the last ones to write a scoop, and they were trying to come up with something unique. And sometimes I can kind of relate to that, right? Because I do YouTube content, I do, mostly reactions, and my channel is, at the moment, very generic and similar to all the other reaction channels out there, but I'm constantly trying to think of something to make my channel unique, because I think, like, the way I do everything is just like everybody else. And not that there's anything wrong with that. I enjoy the way, like, basically the way I structure my channel is the way I enjoy it from the other reactors that I watch, And that's kind of like how I structured it, but I'm constantly trying to think of ways that I can do, unique content to, bring in more people, and also, make you guys who are already, regular followers of the channel and everything happier. And so I kind of like felt myself relating a bit more with this episode than I may have before I started doing YouTube content, But I definitely... The recap stuff was a little long. When he was going on about all the quirks again, I'll be completely honest, it was a little much. Mainly because, at least for me, I just finished, what I did on my channel was, for any of you guys who don't know, I did a rewatch series where on this channel, I rewatched the show, and I would release like 4 episodes a week, and I did that recently, and I did that all the way up to the second half of season 3 is where I left off. That was basically, I think it was around if you guys remember the filler episode where they advertised the movie, the like Save the World with Love, I think it was called, or something along those lines. That was the last episode I watched, and then I got into doing, that's when I started making reactions. That's when I started doing reactions on this channel. And I thought, you know what, I'm probably going to want to do My Hero Academia, so I'm going to stop watching. And then I felt weird, I didn't want to start, season 3, episode 25 on my channel. So I put it off and waited, and I was like, I don't know what I want to do about this. And so I decided to do a rewatch, where I rewatched the entire show, and you guys can find that on my channel. It's a separate playlist from this one, because I wanted to, like, separate it a bit, because it's like a different format. It's, different because it's stuff I've already seen. It's not really a reaction, so I wanted it to be its own thing. And, it didn't do as good as I hoped it was. That was one of the unique things I tried to do on my channel, but I don't think people were too interested in watching, someone who's already seen the show. It makes sense, I understand. But I just wanted to give it a shot and see how it did. Perfectly fine that it failed. Just means I probably won't do it for any other shows in the future. But, anyways, if you guys want to check that out, you can. There were some views on some of the highlight episodes, but, most of it had 0 views. Regardless of all that, I'm being too honest on this channel. I don't need to talk about my failures. But where am I going with this? Shoot, I had a point. Ah, no, I lost my point. Well, I guess I was just letting you guys know that was a thing. Oh, I remember now. Sorry. So I did that rewatch, and then I got into the rest of season 3 that I didn't finish, and then watched the movie at the very end of it all. And it was just like 2 weeks ago that I watched the movie, and like 2 weeks before that where I finished season 3. So it's been like less than a month since I've seen My Hero Academia. So this kind of episode, might be fantastic for the people that watch this show airing, and it's been, like maybe a year? I don't know when season 3 ended, but it's been, a good chunk of time. Might be a good refresher for people, but I love this show so much, and I watch so many reactions and everything that I don't think I will ever really forget unless it goes like 4 or 5 years, then maybe I'll start forgetting. But as long as it's like, every year a new season comes out, I don't think I'll ever forget the quirk. So I don't feel how necessary that was. But regardless of all that, I understand why they did it. And I'm not mad. I'm just playing like the devil's advocate, right? And being like, as someone, me personally, that knows all of their quirks and don't need that refresher, I would have loved to see more content this episode, Just because I love this show and I always want more, It's going to be hard waiting another week and everything, but other than that, we got some good stuff with this reporter who the whole time, seemed like a nice guy, right? But he also had that little bit of sleazy side to him, and I think even Aizawa put it great, like, this reporter's up to something, but it doesn't feel criminal. That's exactly, like, how I felt throughout the episode. Like, I didn't think he was gonna, like, go to the villains and be like, you see this Midoriya guy? You guys need to kill him. But if he did publish the article, he might have been indirectly doing that, which is what kind of worried me a little bit throughout this episode. So it's very interesting how I felt about the character as this episode progressed. But then it ended off with him, figuring out that it was Midoriya after, all of his deductions and everything, and confronting Midoriya about it, and basically saying that, All Might saved my dad when I was a kid. He basically saved my childhood and inspired me into my career path that I'm still on today, And, I mean, his quirk kind of did push him towards that career path, too, because his friggin' quirk is creating lenses out of his body, and then he can print the pictures. That's, like, super interesting. Like, it's not a quirk that I would want, because I'm not the kind of person that takes pictures, like, I don't really use Facebook anymore, but when I used to use Facebook, I'd upload, like, one picture every, like, year and a half or something. I'm not one to really take pictures. Like, I probably have 10 pictures taken on my phone, and half of them are just of my dog doing, like, cute crap, I'm just like, I guess I'll take a picture of this, but then I usually don't do anything with it, so I'm like, why did I just do this, So, it'd be a useless quirk for me, but I feel like there's a lot of people out there who would absolutely love that ability, right? Especially because, what are they called? Oh, shoot. What are those cameras called that you can print out the pictures immediately? I just heard the term for it not too long ago. But regardless, you guys know what I'm talking about. It's like the old school of cameras, but they're actually making a comeback. They're making like new ones and new versions of it, and it's a cool thing because it was always kind of neat when you'd be able to take a picture and then it print out right away, shake it off a little bit, you wait for it to like, develop itself, and you'd have the picture right away, right? It's really cool that they're coming back, and I felt like the name of them was right on the tip of my tongue right there, but it just didn't come out. But having that as a quirk is fascinating, and I wonder if they got his quirk idea because those kind of cameras are coming back, or if it's just like, oh, we're gonna have a news reporter, or how can we make this news reporter more interesting than the rest? Oh, well, what if he just produces cameras out of him and can print the pictures right away? Maybe it was along those lines. It might not have had anything to do with those cameras at all, but anyways, just figured I'd, mention something like that. So, I really respect him as a character, to continue what I was saying. His father was saved by All Might, he was inspired by All Might, and because of that, he didn't want to, tarnish an up-and-coming hero. He realizes the damage that he could do, regardless of how much money he might have been able to make. I don't know what his deal is with these news guys, right? Is it like commission based, like depending on the amount of like views or hits or purchases of the paper, or however they make their money in that kind of industry? Does he get a % of that, or do they just say, hey, get us a good scoop, we'll give you $500 regardless of how good the scoop is? Is it something like that? I don't know, but I don't know how their deal worked, but if it is like a % commission sort of thing, he could have made a lot of money off All Might's next successor, right? But instead of that, he realized, I think anyway, he didn't explicitly say the damage that it could do, but I think he knew the damage creating an article saying whose All Might's successor is, you know, could tarnish a career and tarnish his life even, possibly. Like, that could make villains target him even harder to kill him and everything. And, I mean, not even could, like, I'd say it would, right? Like, if you knew that All Might successor was out there and you were a villain and you knew exactly who it was, like, what would stop him? Like, everyone would be going after Midoriya. So, props to that guy. It makes sense. It would have been hella interesting if they would have actually done that, right? If they would have released that news story and now Midoriya is, like, fighting for his life. They have to, like, pull him out of UA and everything just because it's putting, like, all the other kids in danger and he has to go, like, underground into hiding or something. Like, I don't know, that could be, like, a crazy storyline, but the problem is that kind of storyline would be cool, but it would also be ditching the classmates unless we had, like, dual story arcs going all the time of, like, the kids doing their thing in UA as well while Midoriya is, like, on the run. So I don't think that would work out as good because all these characters are so developed that we follow in 1A and everything. We don't want to throw that all away just so Midoriya can be on the run, right? Just thought it'd be, like, an interesting storyline. But that being said, I liked how Uraraka at the end there, I mentioned it, but she just, like, diverted her own question. And Midoriya did not know how to answer. She asked him, what were you talking about with the reporter? And then she's like, meat buns, and just like, let's go eat before they get cold or whatever. Whatever she said there, but it was so funny. Like, usually it's the other way around where Midoriya would have been the one to really distract her with that, but she just did it to herself. I really like Uraraka's personality sometimes. As much as I'm not a fan of, like, the whole jealous thing, like, I get the jealous thing, but I feel like I could do without it. But the rest of Uraraka's stuff that she does is just so hilarious. Like, when they first got their dorms and she was, like, passing out, talking about, like, how big they are compared to her house, just... She's just awesome, right? I love her character, and even in this episode it was great too. She even got, like, a little bit jealous of the guy too because he snapped that picture with Midoriya. Like, I think that was, like, a little jealous look, or it was just shock, I don't know. Sometimes I might get jealousy confused with shock, but anyways. But yeah, so right at the end we got a little, glimpse of Overhaul moving with Twice, and, once again the traditional Midoriya talking over, saying they're on the move and stuff like that, so interesting stuff. I don't really wanna try to speculate about what the Horn Girl has to do with anything until we actually see her in the episode and not in the intro and outro, right? So I think I'm just gonna ignore that bit for now and not try to come up with any theories of, like, what's to come, but that being said, I don't really have any predictions of what's to come, right? All we know is that work-study thing, the like, more advanced internships they talked about last season, that's about the only direction we have for the story, other than, like, at any point the villains could attack, right? So it's like, we basically have what they're doing next with the school stuff, in a way, and then whenever the villains decide to move. That's essentially, like, the two plot lines I could see happening, for now anyway. So I'm really looking forward to the work-study stuff. I think we got the name Sir Night-Eye is Sir's name. We only had Sir before, I think. I might be wrong, maybe I missed something, but now we have Night-Eye as a name, and so he is potentially gonna be the one that Midoriya goes with, and that will be really interesting because he seems very, very stern and serious about his hero work, and maybe that's just how we've seen him so far, but that just makes me want to know more about him. Is that how he always is? Is he just a very stern guy, like, very contrast to All Might's, silliness and everything. And it would make sense that, you have someone as silly as All Might. You want someone very stern and serious to, keep that professional relationship going and everything, sort of thing, as being a former sidekick of All Might. But regardless of how it all works out, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens if Midoriya goes with him. If Midoriya doesn't, who else he goes with, because I'm sure he's going to find someone, right? And then who the other kids go with, too. I'm very interested in that. I really want to see that. Because, they said to use your connections from your internship, but that doesn't mean they're gonna, Like, I bet anything Todoroki's going to end up with Endeavor, right? It just makes sense because Endeavor is such a badass hero, they want to give him more screen time. So I'd say that's the case. Uraraka might end up back with the Gunhead martial arts, or maybe she'll try to do some other kind of connections, maybe talk to some other people, because she always seems to want to expand her horizons. She did her, Gunhead martial arts, I think it was called, training and everything. And now she might want to go down another avenue, Maybe she was always a big fan of, Space Hero... Shoot. What was the Space Hero's name? 13? Was it? Space Hero 13? It was something like that. It was like a number, I think. But yeah, she might go with her or him. I could never tell the gender of, the Space Hero. But I don't know if the Space Hero is recovered yet, because their injuries are pretty bad after the USJ, but it has been a while, Aizawa's has all healed up and everything, so I'm sure she's all back to normal, so it'd be interesting to see more of them. So it's really hard to use. I always, I don't want to be ignorant of the times. I know about all the gender dispute crap. I don't know he or she, but it's always hard to say they or them or stuff like that. I always anyway, regardless. So I don't know who else, everybody else. Ida might go. I feel like Ida might not go back to the normal hero, I think his name was, where he went to fight Stain, essentially. That was his only reason for going to that agency. So maybe Ida would intern with, his dad, if his dad is still a hero. Possibly. Not intern, but work study, you know what I mean. Other than that, I don't really know, the other characters. I could make some guesses, but I feel like it's going to get a little redundant for this discussion if I go through every single character in the class and try to think of who they might go with. But I definitely look forward to it. I kind of hope we start getting into that kind of thing in the next episode. But I think now that this recap episode is over with, I don't really care what we get into, because I think it's going to be fun no matter what, right? Because I got the recap stuff out of the way, and now hopefully the next episode and the rest of the season will just be, new fun stuff, and I absolutely love it. I even love the, what some people would consider filler episodes, moving into the dorms, or I think some people even considered Froppy's episode a filler, but I absolutely love that episode, so I don't even I guess I can't argue the fact that it's a filler if that's actual fact, but in my opinion, I didn't view it as filler, Filler sometimes has a negative connotation. Just because something's filler doesn't mean it's bad, But I really look forward to whatever we have coming in the future, and yeah, guys, so I've already talked about my Patreon stuff at the beginning of the episode, so I'm not going to do that. So if you guys enjoyed this stuff, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I never talked about that. Subscribe! If you enjoy my content, you will get updates and all that. Check out my other reactions. If you happen to be new to the channel, you can see the other shows that I'm watching and everything. Maybe you have some interest in those, and you can check out, I make sure that in my playlist, I keep all that up to date, so you guys can just go to the playlist section and see all the shows I've done, all playlists set up for you. The episodes should all be in the correct order and everything. It should be super easy to access. If you want to see the shows I have watched, you can check out the description. There'll be a link to my anime list. I try to keep that up to date to the best of my ability. I forget a lot of the time, so sometimes I go like a month without updating it. Apologies on that. But you guys can see my plan to watch is shows that I plan to watch on the channel. And if you have any shows you want me to watch that are not in my completed list, because obviously if they're in my completed list, it means I've seen them. And if they're not on my plan to watch, then you guys can recommend them in the comments. Let me know, and I will add it to the list, and it'll get put into the next poll whenever another show ends. We'll be voting on another show. So, yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Hit me up in the comments if you have anything to say, as long as it's not spoilers. I guess since I'm watching this while it's airing, you'd only be like manga spoilers or something, but don't even do that, please. But yeah, guys, because I haven't read that. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.